Alright boys, welcome back to another YouTube video. That was the first session of the day right there, some sled density. We had some basic stretching and mobility to begin with. First working exercise was deadlifts. We done 2 sets there of 5 reps at 80% of my 1 rep max, followed by max pull-ups within 60 seconds, some sled density work from there, sled push at max weight from testing week. So for me that was 245 for 10 meters. So basically for testing week, we were testing the sleds, essentially loading up the weight for 10 meters. And then the minute you fail to get the 10 meters within 60 seconds, that is your max weight for sled. So we essentially done that 10 rounds of 10 meters. And then we done some work on the sled pull. One side was the rope, one side was the TRX, and 10 meters of pull, 10 meters of TRX, walking back that sled pull. That was race weight plus 20-25%. You do that for 10 rounds and then record the time. And despite the fact that I was doing that with 20% more weight added, I actually got a better time than what I did last week with a lighter weight. So yeah, things are improving. As you can see throughout that session there, very much loading up the weight so it feels light on race day. But no, all in all, felt good. Off to Sainsbury's now to get a few bits for my meal one, so I will see you back home. Right, it's following morning and we are back in the gym for some 1K repeats. 7 times 1K at threshold pace, which you would have saw in the last video. So yeah, it's that time of the week again. It's that time of the week again. And this will be my last session in this pure gym as well. So yeah, gonna make the most of it. We're gonna go for one last posing round in that sick lighting to assess visuals and kind of see where we're at. I think last time we had a little physique update. In the previous video, I just landed 88 kg flat. I'm the exact same weight as what I was last time. Body does not seem to want to respond right now, does not want to seem to get any leaner. I think due to my volume of training right now, each and every morning I'm just waking up and I can almost feel this fatigue in my legs as such. So yeah, I think it will be the case of maybe 88 kilos is going to be our race weight as opposed to 85. Thought I'd get down to 85, but like literally right now, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, picking my you know, abdomen fat, barely anything there. Like I'm literally like, if I get any leaner, I'll pretty much be fat free. I'll pretty much be ready to step on the stage. So I think this might have to be my race weight, unfortunately. Like even in my face, you can see I'm just looking gaunt. I'm looking gaunt at the minute. So yeah, maybe 88 kilos is my lifestyle look. I suppose when I competed last, I got to a low of 83 kilos. But I suppose then that's the argument of like, well, an extra 5 kilo will see your stage shredded. You know, have I actually maintained majority in my size since my competing days? I mean, probably. I wasn't the biggest guy in the world, so not an awful lot to maintain in the first place. But yeah, I would have thought I'd at least lost a bit of muscle, but yeah, maybe 88 kilos it is for me, because I'm looking at myself in the mirror at the minute and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm looking lean. I'm looking lean. And of course you've got to account for the sheer fatigue and water retention you'll be holding on to in the legs, etc. But yeah, as for my upper body, like looking very, very sharp at the minute. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking, get these intervals done. I'll speak to you very, very soon. So this right here is hands down the leanest in which I've been this year. 88 kilos, or just under 88 kilos now. When I say the scales are stalled, they're kind of bouncing anywhere in and around 88 kilos. They don't seem to want to go any lower. But to be fair, I can kind of see why. I'm looking pretty lean at the minute. Midsection's in, obliques are in. Fucking hell, look at that. Fucking cheese grater obliques there. I suppose the only thing I wanted to come in was just these lower abs, but where my obliques sit quite high, my abs sit quite high, so right here I don't really have an awful lot, and I never have done. So yeah, I mean, the V-lines are in, looking lean, midsection's looking tight. Yeah, somehow, despite all the miles in which I'm racking up week per week, I still have managed to hold on some pretty decent legs. Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to disappear. If it was one body part in which I would love to downsize in order to get lighter on my feet and move better throughout my training, it's my legs. Like, I would happily see a good couple of inches get taken off the legs, in all honesty, because they're still looking pretty fucking wham. Like, when I walk into Muscle Hut, honestly, like, some of these lads in there, they go to fucking war on the hack squat each and every week, and they're still walking around like little lollipops. They got fucking nothing coming out of them shorts. And then there's me back in my men's physique days, training legs like once every 3 weeks. Now I'm running, probably racking up about 30-40k in the legs each and every week, and somehow I've still maintained fucking decent legs. So yeah, it's one of them though. But you look at my upper body, as you can see, it's not an awful lot there, so just one of them. So guys, update in regards to training. All in all, loving it still. Feeling great, feeling good. Definitely feeling lighter, definitely feeling fitter, definitely moving better, which is great. But there is still weight to come off. The problem is that I feel like I'm as lean as what I can get right now for my current style of training. Now, like I said, 88 kilos is where the scales are kind of sat at the minute. And trust me, like, I'm digging extremely hard in order to bring that body weight down, but it just does not seem to be shifting. My calories cannot come down too much further. My cardio, my output cannot go up too much higher. I'm pretty much at the point where it's like, right, I think this is the look right now. And this kind of ties into multiple things, and I will get to them later down the line. But yeah, 88 kilos at the minute, lightest I've been for quite some time. And I know for me, and as you can see as well in physique shots, that is a phenomenal lifestyle look that I would feel pretty comfortable holding year round. But I am still most likely too heavy in order to be at an optimal weight to perform in HYROX the best I can and be winning HYROX flags, or at least put myself within the chance of winning HYROX flags, because you see these athletes and they are extremely lean. They're low in body fat, yes, but where the bottleneck is for me is that I hold on to too much muscle mass still from my bodybuilding days. Now, yes, you have got guys like Hunter McIntyre that was dominating the sport for 3+ years, and he's going to be competing in the World Championships this weekend. But look at the guy who beat him last year, bloke in which he referred to as Tiny Tim Weenish. I feel like my next step from here is going to have to be potentially trying to lose a little bit of muscle in order to get lighter and perform better. Like I said, if the legs could just lose a couple of inches, brilliant. But my legs grow off half an hour of Stairmaster. I just don't think that's happening. I do not think that's happening. My legs are just as big now as what they were back in my bodybuilding days. So yeah, it's a difficult one, because you look at a lot of these HYROX guys, yes, they have muscle mass, but the ones especially at that elite level, they're also very lean. And yes, although they don't hold a tremendous amount of muscle, they still do have a decent amount of size to them. But for someone like me, 6'1", I would probably say I need to sit within the low 80 kilos in order to be moving better, to be performing better, running quicker. But again, does that come at a cost of losing my peak power and my strength? This is where I'm at right now, and I'm still looking at myself in the mirror, looking at my upper line in regards to my delts and my arms mainly, and being like, yeah, shit, they're still quite big. I haven't really lost much size in the arms and delts. My chest and back, forget it, they were non-existent to begin with, but my arms and delts are still quite big, as are my legs as well, and I've always just had huge calves. So again, I don't know, do I reduce my hypertrophy sessions as a whole? I mean, I'm already doing 3 hypertrophy sessions a week at the minute, 2 full upper bodies and a lower body. Do I maybe just go with an upper body and a lower body? Again, I suppose that's the question at the minute, and it's something in which I'll have to report to the coach and kind of see how we go about that, because I'm not being funny, I'm looking at myself in the mirror at the minute. I lift up my top and I've got like lower ab veins right now. Like, I don't get lower ab veins until I start getting really lean. And if you look at some of these shots in which I took this morning, I am starting to look really lean. Like, there's not an awful lot of body fat left in which can come off. And if more does come off, then it's, you know, I might as well be doing the Marbella shoot next week, right? I might as well just step back on stage. And that's the thing, the lower in which you get in body fat, like if I was to take it sub 10% body fat and get ridiculously fucking peeled, then I'll be at high risk of injury. My recovery capabilities won't be as good. But I suppose the same could be said with muscle mass, right? I spoke to the coach last week and he said, you know, I don't think we're going to have to risk losing muscle, because then again your recovery capabilities won't be as good, your injury risk will be much higher. So yeah, again, it's the case of like, well, do I just make 88 kilos work? do I just be an absolute fucking macho man compared to these other skinny little HYROX athletes and just try and perform the best I can and move 88 kilos as well as what I can? Again, this is really kind of the double-edged sword at the minute. But I guess we'll see how Hunter McIntyre does in the World Championships this weekend. If he wins, then brilliant, I'm staying jacked. But yeah, if he gets beat, I guess I'll stop lifting weight, but we'll see. I'm about to go and lift weight now though, so I'll see you at the gym. Right, so they are there, a few clips. There are a few clips from my hypertrophy B session, my upper hypertrophy B from yesterday. It's now the following day. I did train this morning, but it was literally just 60-minute urge bike. So yeah, managed to box that off. I got a base run later, which, yeah, I can't lie, like woke up this morning, lowest on the scales yet. I'll lie saying that the scales probably won't drop below 88 kilos, was 87.2 this morning. So yeah, the scales are continuing to drop. I was looking very, very lean this morning, very, very lean. But yeah, feeling like it's hit me at this point in the dieting phase. I suppose I'll just have to see how low I can get or how lean I can get prior to then holding. Obviously, when you're wanting to get down to a position in which you can hold, you always ideally want to get a little bit leaner than what you anticipate getting, because there's always going to be a bit of a rebound, right? So I guess I'll just have to see how low I can get, but I do believe 88 kilos for me will be the comfortable weight to hold, but we'll see. But the HYROX World Championships were last night. Watched them, really enjoyed it. Gutted that Hunter McIntyre didn't win. But what a finish to that race. If you haven't watched it, then please do. I'm not going to spoil it, but honestly, what a finish. But anyway, thought I would end this video on probably the topic in which we've been speaking around pretty much throughout the whole video, which is, I suppose, ideal body type for HYROX. Right now, what's interesting about HYROX is that where it's such a new sport, I don't think anyone really knows the ideal body type or the ideal body weight for an athlete based off their height, body composition, whatever it may be. And I feel like we're learning more and more as the sport progresses and develops. Because like yesterday, for example, you've got Hunter McIntyre that was leading majority of the race. Dude's absolutely jacked. But then on his tail was Tim Weenish, a guy who is a much slimmer build. You then had Luke Greer, I think his name is, who, from what I understand, he came from a marathon running background. So he was keeping up with the front runners in regards to the running, and his running was extremely good, but you can tell he was kind of struggling on the stations a bit. He, again, is a much slimmer build. And then the guy who ended up winning, Dylan Scott, he was, again, a much leaner build, but had like a fairly decent amount of muscle mass, but he was still what I would consider like an ectomorph, right? He was still much slimmer in regards to his frame. He wasn't as broad, he wasn't as bulky. Whereas Hunter McIntyre, I'm not so sure if any of you know who he is. If you've seen any pictures, the dude's absolutely jacked. It's interesting because when Hunter McIntyre was running, despite the fact that he was leading majority of the race, you can tell that he looked like he was struggling a lot more throughout his runs than what the other athletes were that were a slimmer build. But then he really did make up for it on the stations. Like, he went completely unbroken throughout the sled push, which I believe has never actually been done before, whereas the other athletes were having to take a break halfway through the length. But again, you can then kind of tell that these other athletes were catching up with him on the runs a little bit, and he was almost having to make it up on the stations as such. So it's really interesting because I've seen videos on YouTube around the ideal body type or body frame for HYROX, and I feel like we don't actually know that yet. We don't actually know that. It's interesting because my coach done a post the other day, and I do fully agree with it. It was, if you want to win HYROX races, you have to be willing to look like a HYROX athlete. A much slimmer build, a more athletic look, less muscle on the frame, which I do agree with. I suppose that is gonna put you in an optimal position in order to perform the best in which you can. But then again, some of these guys are absolutely jacked. And I've heard Hunter McIntyre say in interviews before that he prefers racing jacked and that he just plays to his strengths. So it's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. I feel like we probably will get a little bit more of an understanding for that, like I say, as the sport develops. But in regards to what body type is more optimal for each station, because each station is so different, I guess we already kind of know what body type is more optimal for running, say. Because you look at a lot of these marathon runners, these elite runners, they're all very tall, skinny guys. But then if one of them was to jump into HYROX, it's like, well, you know, are they just going to fold when they try and push a sled or pull a sled? Like, you just you don't know. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting because you obviously do have to have some base of muscle, right? You do have to have some form of strength in order to move on the stations. But at the same time, I suppose you also do have to be light and agile in order to move well on the runs. Because what I would have said prior to the World Championships last night is that someone like Alex Ronkovic, who is the current HYROX world record holder for men's singles, I would have said he had like the ideal body type for HYROX, but I think yesterday he came like 5th or 6th. You know, maybe it just wasn't his race, who knows? It could be one of them. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like we don't fully know yet, and I think that's what makes the sport exciting. But I guess for me right now, my focus is just trying to find what the ideal body weight is for me when it comes to racing, because I've only done I've technically done 3 solos. The first one I was probably in and around 90 kilos, and that was the one that flopped in London. But again, I wasn't really training as I should have been in order to race the best I could, because at that point I wasn't really massively invested into wanting to do it. I honestly thought that was going to be my one and done. It was just going to be a tick box. But then I really started to get an itch from it from there. Bangkok is obviously hard to say because I didn't have any scales for whilst I was in Southeast Asia, but I would have said I was probably around about 92 kilos, the same as what I was in Cardiff, because my look was very, very similar in each race. In Cardiff, I was 92, 93 kilos. So yeah, like I say, for Istanbul, I'm gonna try and get down to like mid 80s if that's possible, and we're going to see how we get on. So yeah, that's everything for this video. Like, share, subscribe, follow along for the journey. Next week we're going to be in Marbella, so there is going to be some good Marbella vlogs coming up. Very, very excited for that week. I believe we have, oh god, I'm not sure, I believe 50. I think 50 lads are rocking up to Marbella. 50 new gen clients, all in ridiculous shape for the Marbella team shoot. Once again, we're going to be making history at New Gen. I just, yeah, cannot believe it. All the lads as well are just like, the standard of this shoot is going to be absolutely mind-blowing, so I cannot wait to take you through that week. Obviously the shoot is the main event, and I'm extremely, extremely excited for that. I feel like at every single team shoot, I'm just in my element, being amongst the clients, seeing them showcase their hard work. For me, this is just, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Taking lads to that elite level, seeing them showcase that, being proud of what they've achieved. That is just, yeah, cannot wait for it. Absolutely cannot wait for it. But it's also going to be good to catch up with the boys as well, grab some sick content with them. Just, yeah, looking forward to it as a whole. So cannot wait to take you through that. So be sure to follow along for the journey, and I'll see you in the next one.